Hi, my name is Nelly, Judomaster from Peacemaker, and I'm sitting with Elias from the Man Cave Chronicles.
Lee, welcome to the cave.
Glad to be here. How are you?
Great, man. How about you, man? You've been on an awesome ride so far.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm so glad the fans have received our show so well.
So yeah, I mean, the listeners and the viewers that are tuning in, they can see you as Judomaster on HBO Max's Peacemaker. And before we dive into the show about your role and everything, I want to know a little more about you. I was trying to do some research on you. There isn't that much information on you online. I want to know, like, what made you get into the entertainment industry? I did see that you moved to LA and you try to study improv comedy, but that's all I can find on you. What else is out there about you?
Yeah, I started doing community theater when I was, I think maybe like 10 or 11.
Okay.
My high school was doing a production of South Pacific, and they needed a small Asian boy. So that was my first show. And then I think I just had so much fun doing that kind of stuff that I just kept with it. And then I went to study acting in college, and then lived in New York for a bit, and then moved out to LA and started doing improv. Got into like some martial arts, like stunt training, and here we are.
Now, when you mentioned like the Groundlings, like, did you how did you fall in love with like comedy? Because it's comedy improv and everything. Like, what made you go that way for a little bit?
I grew up watching SNL, and
Okay.
all those people came from either Second City or Groundlings or
Yeah.
UCB, and so I wanted to get more involved in that community. So luckily, the Groundlings and UCB were both pretty big schools out in LA, so it was pretty easy to find a school and join and do their programs. And I had so much fun doing both their programs, and I would definitely keep going back.
Are you still involved with them at all? Because I know sometimes they call people to go back to perform.
Uh, Unfortunately, no. But I had a lot of fun doing improv, so I wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah. So yeah, let's not. So when you moved to LA and you were you're doing the improv and everything, like I assume at the same time you started auditioning for roles.
Yeah, I've always had an agent
Okay.
anywhere I was, and I think that's important as an actor trying to get bigger auditions, because as an unrepresented actor, you only get like a handful that you see, and then like behind the doors is like where all the big like major stuff happens. So I think it's important to try to somehow wrangle an agent on your side, and so that they're helping you find jobs. And and when I first started, I was with a smaller boutique agent, and it was hard trying to like hustle a side job and having time off to go to auditions and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle for a long number of years. So
Yeah. Is it true that you were almost about to quit right before Peacemaker?
yeah, it was wild because it happened around 2020 when the pandemic hit,
Okay.
and the entertainment industry, as well as most industry, was shut down. And at that time I was out in LA for 10, almost 11 years,
Wow.
getting like pretty little traction, and during that time I started picking up pottery as a hobby, just like to relax in this craziness. And I found that I fell in love with it. And so I thought, with the industry shut down, maybe this is a good pivoting point. So I was going to move back to Philadelphia, which is where I grew up, and just do pottery, full time, and give up acting. And then literally a week before my move, uh, my reps called me and they're like, "Hey, like James would like to offer you this role." And at that point, I was like all set to move, and I'm like, well, I guess I, sort of have to do this. So yeah, I'm glad I stuck with it.
Yeah. Now he just offered the job, or was there an audition first?
There, it was about a month-long audition process.
Wow.
At first, my reps sent over my martial arts reel, I think you can see it on YouTube. It's like a wushu like weapon stuff. And then so she sent it in and they were like, "Oh, do you have any hand-to-hand combat stuff?" And I was like, "No, I like mostly specialize in like weapons." And so we like my friend and I shot something in our backyard real quick and like sent it in. And then they liked that and then they sent over a few pages of the script where I, could read. And then I sent that in and then had an interview with the fight coordinator. And then I didn't hear back from them for like a week. And so I'm like, stuff like this happens all the time. You sort of audition and then just forget about it. And then one day I was like about to take a nap and I like texted my manager. I'm like, "Hey, did you hear anything?" And she was like, "Yeah, let me give you a call back in like 30 minutes." And then I get on a call with her, and then she was like, "Hey, Ross," which is my agent, and it's rare that they're ever on a call together. And so they're like, "So we need to talk about this offer that just came through." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And then they like told me I got it, and it was like so
Wow.
surreal.
Wow, that's amazing. How many? So after you booked the role, how many months was it till you started filming? About.
So it was about 2.5 months.
Oh wow. Wow.
And in that time, I had to do like a 3D scan for the super suit and like some costume fittings. So that was pretty cool. And then in like mid-January, they flew me up to Vancouver, and then I had to quarantine there for 2 weeks before like any training or any rehearsal.
Mm,
So yeah, it was about 2.5 months.
wow. Yeah, let's jump right into the show, man. Everybody loves the opening credits, the opening scene. Tell us, tell us about the experience for the opening. And did you know how to dance? Did you learn some of those dance moves?
I did learn some of the dance moves, and I will attest that I'm not a good dancer, or I don't think I'm a good dancer. But Clarissa Barton, who's a choreographer, she's amazing. She taught us or me different segments of it because she wasn't sure where they would plug Judomaster in. But then they decided to do like the whole like, hoisting me up John Cena's shoulders and stuff, which was a lot of fun. And on that shoot day, it was really cool because like all the cast was there and never before like have we met everyone because you just shoot your scenes and sometimes you see this person or that person.
Mm,
So it was really special to get like everyone together. Um, and I think it was my first time meeting some of them. So it
wow.
was really cool.
Yeah. So you booked the role. How did you prepare to play this role? Did you go like try to do some research and read the comics? You know, because I'm sure you wanted to play him a little bit differently also from the comics.
Right. Yeah. Right when I booked the role, Um, I got his comic series, did all the research I could, and there's not much about him.
Right.
And at that point, I haven't received any of the scripts yet. So I was trying to do as much research as I can, and I started training, martial arts and like calling up stunt friends to like work out with, and then I get to Vancouver and I'm locked in this tiny like apartment for 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, all that training sort of went to waste. Yeah.
So you mentioned the martial arts. You know, we see you throughout the series, for the episodes you're in. Like every time you interact with somebody, you're always drop kicking them. Tell
Yeah,
us about
yeah.
tell us about that.
It was such a cool experience because, as before I told you, I was trying to get into stunts as a way to get into acting.
Yeah.
And back then I was like, oh, yeah, I do stunts, blah, blah, blah. And then now having gone through, this process with a stunt team, I was like, no, I could never call myself a stuntman, because what they do is amazing. Like their bodies are in peak condition, like they put their bodies through so much abuse. And I'm so glad that I had a stunt double doing all the crazy stuff. But it was really cool to learn all the different moves and like fight choreography. And yeah, it was really nice, like interacting with the other cast members while we're fighting because
Right.
we're all trying to learn the same thing, and some of us are better than others.
We mentioned how there wasn't that much like in the comics for Judomaster. Now, like, were you able to like talk with James Gunn and like shoot some ideas like how you wanted to play the character, like just to bounce ideas pretty much off each other?
We didn't really have that much conversation about that character, just because I think when James takes a character, it's sort of his version of it,
Okay.
and so it wasn't like, well, he wasn't like this in the comics. It was like you take the script. The script is your Bible, and that's how you interpret to
Wow.
play it. And so everything that I needed was on the script, or if not, then I prepared the character, and you bring it on that day to shoot, and there were like little adjustments here and there, and I think through that process, we found the character together. Just because they were like, he had his idea of it, and I like had my thoughts of who this
Mm.
person was, and then when the camera started rolling, it just came through, and I think it was a really interesting process because I've never worked with like such a big director before, and so it was a bit nervous, but it was just so like masterful in the way that he like would do little adjustments here and there, and then it was just click, and then like seeing it all come together, it like all makes sense.
What for you? What do you think was like the biggest challenge trying to play this character?
I think the biggest challenge for me was like he's pretty far away from like who I am as a person normally.
Yeah.
I am like nonviolent, like very pacifist, like, and he was just like, he's such an asshole, and that's like one of the notes that James gave me. He's like Judomaster doesn't give like an F about anything, like he
Yeah.
does whatever he wants, and I'm like, okay.
So, what did you love the most about Judomaster?
I think I also love that the most about him was like he was so far away from me that like I remember like in between takes like they would cut and I'm like, oh, like thank you to like the PAs like bring water or
Mm.
whatever, and then right when they're about to roll, I like have to do like this like guttural grunt and like very animalistic to like get into what Judo Master is. Because normally I'm just like very like a lighthearted person, like very nice to everyone, and like putting on that cow and like getting ready to fight, it's just like sort of a something you have to get into.
I mentioned before we went on the air that I got some questions from the fans. Some of the fans want to know, like, what do you think now Judomaster is going to do without the butterflies? Everybody's talking about the butterflies.
Yeah, I mean, he spent the whole first season trying to protect them, because he was fighting for their cause, and at the end it's sort of heartbreaking for him because he showed up too late, and all these uh his butterflies friends, I guess, or comrades are gone. And so I don't know if he's gonna seek vengeance or find another faction or something. But there's definitely a few possibilities, and I'm excited to see what James does.
Yeah. What about the Cheetos? Are they stored all over the area for you to grab them, or are you actually like stuffing them in your suit?
uh, for the character, for myself.
Both.
So in my actor chair, there's always like Cheetos nearby, and there's like a tray of snacks, and there's always Cheetos. But whenever we shoot, the prop guys always hand me a bag, and they refill it after every take. So it's an unending supply of Cheetos.
Were they actually spicy? People want to know that. Did you eat the spicy ones?
They were not spicy.
they're
Yeah, I
gonna be
think
they're gonna be disappointed with that.
I know. I think for self-preservation, it was probably best that they were not spicy, but I myself prefer the spicy ones.
How was it wearing that suit?
Um, it was awesome to wear a super suit, but logistically it was very tough. It was skin tight, and there was a belt that went around, and then the cow, it was a bit claustrophobic
Mm.
at times, and then we shot during COVID as well, so we had to like always wear the mask, and so most of the time the only things you could see were my eyes, and so when I'm like resting, when I'm like in the tent or whatever, I think there's a picture posted by Steve Agee. I'm just like calmly resting because like if not, it's just like very like it's hard to breathe and
Yeah.
claustrophobic. So but it's awesome that I get to wear it, but it's tough.
You mentioned earlier about the stunts. Were you able to do any of your own stunts?
Any of the big stuff, like any of the falling and like when the other actors like kick Judomaster, I did not do just because like if we get hurt, then you know we can't really do anything for the rest of the day or however long it takes for us to heal.
Yeah.
So like all the fighting stuff we did, but like you know when he like crashed into the toilet stuff in episode 7, that was all Derek, and he had to do that 8 times, and it looked rough. So I'm glad he was there for me.
Yeah. Well, as a judo master, what was your favorite action scene that you were involved in?
My favorite action scene, I think, was probably the first fight. The first fight was like so intense. We practiced that fight for about a month because there were so many different pieces, and it was we shot some of it on location and some of it on a stage. And it was so involved, and like that was my first fight. And so, you know, we got to like work with John and Freddie and like all the stunt team, and that was really cool just to see how they interpreted the moves and stuff. So
Mm.
yeah, I'd say the first fight.
Speaking of the cast, how was it working with the cast? And is there somebody from the cast that you kind of wish you had more scenes with, or maybe you can work with on season 2?
Tough question. I think everyone is so great. But I think Danielle Brooks, who plays Adebayo, she's so funny in person. We only had like little interactions of our characters,
Yeah.
but every time she's on set, she always makes me laugh. So I think it would be fun to work with her somewhere.
How would you describe the vibe on set though?
Oh, it's so chill. It's so easy. I think what attributes to that is James. He's very meticulous in the way that he plans his shoot.
Mm.
Um, and so on the day, you know exactly what's happening, and everything moves so smoothly. And some sets I've been on, it's very tense and like, you know, we gotta like make our day or whatever. But with James and the rest of the crew, everything was so easy and so fun. So
You
I
mentioned
would always,
James. You mentioned James.
yeah,
I also heard that you made him a mug. Is that true?
yeah. The post production team commissioned me to do some Peacemaker. Let me grab one for you. Commissioned me to do these mugs, and so I did it after we wrapped, and they sent one to James and the producers and stuff. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Did you get a response back from it from James?
Yeah, he thanked me on social media, and then my pottery Instagram got a huge hit from
That's
that,
huge.
which is nice.
That's awesome. Now for Judo Master, would you love to see a spin-off if you could?
Yeah, I'm curious about his background as well, you know, because all that I got and all that we got from the show is whatever is seen, you know, in that script.
Yeah.
So there's not much about like what his background is like, who he's working for now. You know, there's a lot of things to explore with him. So I'm excited to see what James does with it.
Now, what's next for you now? Now that we know the season 2 got picked up. Obviously, you don't know the storyline or anything yet, but what are your thoughts on season 2? Possibly seeing you again, and what's next for you after that?
Uh, I I've said it before. I would work with James hands down. If he needed me to be a rock on set, I would do it. But so yeah, I would be excited for season 2. We just signed on to a new project that will start in like a week ish, which I'm very excited for. It's with a director that I admire very much. We have very similar sense of humor, so I'm excited to work with him.
That's awesome. Lastly, how can the listeners and the viewers
find
you on social media?
On Instagram and Twitter, my handle is It's Nuli, ITSNHUTLE.
Ellie, I want to thank you for coming on. This was a great chat.
Yeah, thanks, Elias. Nice talking to you.